For an industry that's still largely dealing in paper, blueprints, spreadsheets, and manual approval processes, AI infused technologies could mean significant changes. Only 8.5% of US construction projects are completed on time and within budget, a staggering statistic compared with any other industry. AI and data driven insights becoming much more prevalent in the industry can help construction organizations optimize project schedules, resource allocation, and risk management. Main point here is 8.5% of US construction projects are completed on time and within budget. When you see this 8.5, like is that like are you surprised by that, or is that kind of, did you expect it to be lower, higher, or what do you think?
Well, there's, I don't even know where to fucking start. This one hits close to home because this is where I get really frustrated in my day to day because, I don't even know who to blame. It's just a client, they buy a building, they buy a piece of land, right? They go to the architect, they go to the engineers, they want to go design this, they go for permit, they go for zoning. And then once this package is put together, what happens is they haven't consulted any contractor, okay? And even if they have consulted a contractor, a lot of times that contractor is probably not getting the job, right? Or they're being put up competitively. And then what happens is, they take, you know, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 months to design and put it on paper, and everything looks good on paper. And then by the time they go out, they give contractors 2, 3 weeks to price it. And now, it's a race to the bottom. Who's the cheapest price? Now, once that contractor's selected, a lot of time the race to the bottom means somebody forgot something, right? Somebody missed something, right? And a lot of times when you go to suppliers, you're not like, even the suppliers from the manufacturers, they can't give you lead times, because lead times for items, whether it's steel, whether it's rooftop units, whether those lead time items are from time of order. They're not from, time of pricing, right? Because you're pricing it, you're closing a job. They're still taking 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 weeks to sift through the bids, right? To sift through like everybody who submitted a price. So then what happens is, okay, this one has a 6 month lead time. Okay, great. Now you get started. You're submitting, again, the bureaucracy, right? It's like, okay, you need to submit shop cuts. You need to do this. We need to have a site kickoff meeting. Okay, great. You submit your shop cuts 2, 3 weeks later, they come back and it's like, all right, like let us know ETAs, let us know, what the lead times are. And it's like, oh, by the way, this rooftop has a 27-month lead time. Right? And it's like, well, that's unacceptable. We have a 6 month building. And it's like, well, I didn't spec the rooftop. You see what I'm saying? So now they're going through all this re-engineering. Now they're talking to all these manufacturers, right? Where it's like, well, I'm sorry, if you guys have a strict timeline, then when you guys went to go design and pick this material, you guys should have secured it for this project, so that when the contractors call for the pricing, they know the job, the stuff is already secured, and whoever wins it, all they have to do is release it, right? So that's one aspect of why there's always delays to a site, because a lot of times, I always say it, and again, it's not to the fault of the engineers or the architects, but it's almost like the project is set up for failure, right? Like, I'll give you a prime example, like schools, right? Schools, there's a big influx to do school projects, right? Whether it's colleges, universities, elementary schools, middle schools, high schools, during the summer. So they'll put out these bids, right, in May and June, but they're not awarding until the last week of June, sometimes first, second week of July, but they want it done at the end of August. But guess what? A lot of the equipment that they've spec'd that has to go in there, whether it be flooring, whether it be tile, whether it be, again, boilers, doesn't matter what it is, they have, a 6 week lead time. So how are you going to finish a project in 4 weeks when just to get the material takes 6 weeks? You see what I'm saying? So it's set up for failure. So that's number one. And then number two is also in construction, a lot of things look good on paper, but there's a lot of sight unseen, right? Nothing the architect could have saw, nothing the engineer could have saw, but you go to open a wall, you go to dig the hole, like I remember here in Toronto, right? They went to go build a condo, they called it the well for a reason. They kept digging and there was water and they kept pumping out water and there was just water flooding in, right? So obviously they couldn't pour foundations. They couldn't, it's just unforeseen things. So sometimes, if you want my opinion, I love the standard of North America where we build and we build fast. But I think we've kind of lost the handle on what quality is, right? And that, like that saying, like Rome wasn't built in a day, where they'll put this 60-story tower in front of you and say, yeah, we have 2 years to finish this. And sometimes it's kind of like, well, obviously you're never gonna hit those targets because who set those timelines originally, right? The people that set the timelines are the people who originally designed the project, right? And that's if everything goes smooth. That's if, there's no hurdles, if there's no unforeseen things, if materials were secured, right? So that's why that number does not surprise me because it happens so many times. And then also, just to touch base on what Charlie was saying, when there is a change, right, or there is an issue with a deliverable or something like that, like we're dealing with one right now. It was a $50,000 item. The item has a long lead time, will not meet the project schedule. So we do the homework, and the only one that can meet the project schedule is another piece of equipment, but the other piece of equipment is like 35% more expensive, but it's readily available, right? And now the whole design team is looking at us, asking us, well, why is it this much? Well, why is it that this is the only one available, guys? We're not doing this to make more money, right? Like we're actually trying to help out. But the longer we keep fighting back and forth, the longer this project's going to take, right? Again, we don't manufacture, no steel worker, no drywaller, no plumber, no electrician manufactures the stuff in their shop and sells it, right? You need to buy it from a manufacturer, right? So we're also subject to the manufacturer, right? So again, that's why it doesn't surprise me. I think it's from the top down, the way, these projects are put out, the pricing and the timeline that they give to do them. Like nobody consults once the team is selected to do the job. Nobody consults them on, realistically, how long is this going to take? No, they give you once they give you the project to price or to bid, the project schedule is in there.